You can do something like you can give it to AI tool and ask you give your photo, you give your photo that you use.
I have really perfect technique.
Yeah. So this is what you need to know. Okay. The next thing is studio portrait photography. Here studio portrait photography and product photography also are put together. We use 6.3, 7.1 and like something like this. When we are shooting something in the plain backgrounds, because in plain background you can't get any shallow depth. You can't make what do you call bokeh effect, right? It's plain background. So like you can use this one. But if you let's say if you want something like a setup, let's say you are trying to put a setup like nicely, you are trying to put a background. In the background maybe you are trying to put some trees, flowers, and trying to put some kind of an effects into it. Then maybe you can try 2.8 in studio. If not, anything in the plain background, like how we did in that class, anything plain background, 6.3, 7.18 is also fine. Here I say 1 over 80 means you can use 1 over 100, something like this, 1 over 100 and above. Ideally, I normally use 1 over 125, 1 over 600. Sorry, 1 over 160. This is what normally I use and it works well. We also did in the class, we were using only this range. If there is movement, if they are jumping or if they are doing some actions, dance or something, then your speed will go up. 300, 300, 320, 400, something like that. Okay?
Actions are better than
Yeah, and actions, yes. So same thing principle applies when you try to capture a product photography also. In a product photography also what we do is studio product photography. If you have a product, if you are trying to capture that in plain background, use 7.1, f8, f9 so that you can capture more details of the product. And then the 1 over 80 or 1 over 100 or 1 over 160, it depends on the lighting intensity as well. I'm just trying to give you this. It was always about. Okay, because I put this restriction mostly to beginners. They think if you go down, you get more light, and they don't zoom the photos and see when they take photos. They see like this, oh wow, and they go back, there is also always motion blur. So that's why I tell people not to go below this, above this. So until you understand very well about shutter speed and everything, ideally you can stay at 1 over 100 when you are using your camera in your hand, and above is fine. So remember, don't stick to this, as I said. Sometimes we are capturing sports photography, it has to be faster. Like if I'm doing this, like trying to do some punching actions. So my hand goes fast and comes like, So I have to be faster. So you got to be faster as well to capture that motion. You got the point. If you are slower than my punches, then my hands will be like motion.
Need to adjust the shutter speed.
Yeah, so if you try to stay at 1 over 80, you will not capture my motion. You got to be at least 1 over 1000 based on my fast moves.
Minimum 1000.
It depends on. I don't know. Like if I do this, is it 1 second or less than a second? It's very very fast.
It's very fast.
So it just goes and up comes right. So you got to be faster. So at least 1 over 1000 and above will be the motion, yeah. So it's like fractions of seconds. So remember that. So you guys know, you guys watch basketball, you guys watch boxing and stuff, right? So all these sports, these are very fast. You just go with the ball and push it in. So you got to be faster. So I'll explain this as well. So remember, this one, studio product photography, if you are shooting in plain background. Let's say you are trying to make a nice setup. You are trying to show, let's say, a nice roasted chicken dish photograph. Okay, you have the roasted chicken, you have mashed potatoes, you have vegetables, everything there at the table. Now, what is your main subject? It's your roast chicken. Okay, if you try to show everything, okay, if you try to show everything, a person who doesn't like the what do you call chicken may like the mashed potatoes. So you are confusing people where to look. If you are shooting something of one product with multiple things at the table, then you got to just focus on that, use low aperture. So what happens? The other things become slightly blurry. So when it becomes blurry, people will look at this, but they will understand that the chicken is the subject. You got the point. So there's where the aperture plays a huge role in deciding the direction of the photo for where the people to look into. Just not about the frame, but also the aperture makes a huge role. So that's the core idea of studio product photography. When you need more details, 7.1, 6.3, 5.6, anything you can use. When you need less details, low numbers on just specific products. Got the point? Yeah, let's move on to now ISO. Always you get the lower the number because we're doing professional photography here. The lower the ISO, the more cleaner the image will be. Yeah, we don't want noisy, we don't want unsharp images. We want detailed image, so therefore we are using Auto. The next thing we move on to street photography. What we did is in the street photography, I think you were slightly late when you came in. I was explaining them about this thing. Aperture priority mode. There is a mode called manual mode is there, automatic mode is there. In your camera you will see something called T mode, S mode, A mode. Have you seen that? That's called, yes, in the dial. Mode dial you will find. Next week I'll show you, okay? There's something called A mode or you cannot AV mode. What is this? It's called aperture priority mode. So aperture priority mode, whenever you have enough light outdoors, you can try aperture priority mode. It's very good. Basically what it does is you decide the aperture based on what depth you want in your photograph. Your ISO and your shutter speed can be automatic. It's called semi-automatic mode. Not fully automatic, semi-automatic. Okay? This is good because why? In a street photography, when you go to a place, maybe you try to capture something, you're focusing on it, somebody will cross. Maybe you will take a photograph and see it's not good. When you try to go back, maybe the person, if you are trying to capture a person, the person will be not there. Or the moment you will miss it. So what we do is, more over the setting, we try to focus on the moment to capture it. So semi-automatic mode, to some extent it will try to capture it in detail. But what happens is when you try to go into, like example, when you go to supermarket outdoors are fine, but if you go inside, it's like tunnels, right? Yeah, tunnel and it's dark there. Yeah, so if you try to go AV mode, even if you try to use 2.8 in your as your aperture, your shutter speed will come to 1/10th of a second, 1/20th of a second, maybe even 1 second it will go down sometimes because it's dark. It will try to bounce down the shutter speed to get more light. So when your shutter speed is low, what happens? The image becomes motion blurry. The image will become blurry. Won't be usable. Yeah.
It's pretty ugly.
So there's where when you go inside areas wherever you have less light, you will have to put it into manual mode. But when you have what do you call enough light, you can use AV mode as well. You can try it out, but manual mode is always the best. If you ask pro drivers who likes to drive car, you ask you like automatic car or manual car, always they say manual. Manual has more control. Even without keeping your legs in the brake, you can control the car. You can stop the car with the gears. So that is the power of manual. So always manual, but still you can use this whenever you get the chance.
I guess all static version.
So wildlife, so here automatic means it will automatically work. Based on the lighting, it's go up and down and work.
Yeah, this is the problem, sir. If I'm going to choose